everyone, welcome back to The Bored Journalist. So I was listening to the Waiting to Excel soundtrack, and there's two songs that got me kind of brainstorming on our topics today. So the first one is It Hurts Like Hell, sung by Aretha Franklin. Then the second song is Not Gon' Crap by Mary J. Blige. So of course these songs remind me of the movie, but it also reminds me of how fast things can go left in a marriage. We'll be discussing two powerful stories: Betty Broderick, a real-life example, and Bernadine Harris from the film Waiting to Excel. Both women sacrificed their personal goals for their husbands, believing they were doing what was best for their families, only to be left behind. Their stories are powerful reminders of why women must prioritize their own futures. Toward the end of this video, I will share a practical way you can start building a career in healthcare, especially if you're leaving a bad relationship, you're a mother with young children and daycare is expensive. I just wanted to share just my practical advice and share my ebook on rev cycle management. That is the other field that I work in that has provided stability for me. So let's get into the story. Betty Broderick's story is one of loyalty, sacrifice, and betrayal. She supported her husband, Dan Broderick, through years of medical school and then law school. She worked multiple jobs, took care of the children, and managed the home, all while he pursued his education and professional ambitions. When Dan finally became successful, instead of rewarding her loyalty, he left her for a younger woman who had none of the history, commitment, or sacrifice that Betty had given for decades. Her life was uprooted, she was emotionally devastated, and ultimately, this story ended in tragedy. Betty's experience became one of the most infamous examples of what can happen when women are encouraged to give everything to someone else while abandoning their own goals. I've watched several interviews of Betty, and she is not sorry that she killed that man. I can understand why she snapped. Now, that doesn't mean that people deserve to die, but I think she felt like she had no other choice. I think she just felt like the world was against her. Taking lives is clearly not the answer. But I want to watch this quick interview from the 90s, and y'all will see what I mean. She is not sorry. Her attitude is more like, it didn't have to be this way, but you chose to end things this way, is basically her attitude. And I also don't like how, back then maybe it was a little bit different. Let me know if y'all catch the shade in this interview, because there's one part where the reporter is like, and Dan left her after she looked like this. And I'm like, that's just a normal woman that's had kids and is doing real life activities. Like, of course she's not gonna look like a 20-year-old. But let's go ahead and play this clip.
Betty Broderick was the ultimate woman scorned. She made national news when she shot her husband and his new wife. She made network history when Meredith Baxter portrayed her in a TV movie. Now they're running the sequel, and Betty Broderick is talking exclusively to the first major journalist on the case, our Doug Bruckner.
It was all a game, a very well orchestrated game. And in Dan's mind, this was a legal case. And he had to destroy me totally. But I don't know why. I never did anything to him to incur all that hate and wrath.
Betty Broderick still portrays herself as a victim on the eve of another damning docudrama about the murder of her ex-husband Dan and his beautiful young wife Linda. Actress Meredith Baxter will again play Betty Sunday night in another movie of the week about the Broderick case. Betty Broderick was convicted of second-degree murder last year for killing her ex-husband and his new bride with 5 pistol shots in the bedroom of their San Diego mansion.
Betty Broderick's been behind bars now for nearly 4 years, since shortly after her conviction, she's been here, about 100 miles south of San Francisco at the Central California Women's Facility.
She left her cell to come to the prison's visiting hall, where she gave us this exclusive interview.
Do you feel remorse for what you did, Betty?
I feel such terrible remorse for what we've all been through from 1983. It'll almost be 10 years now. 10 years, I find it so meaningless, what we've all been through. What was the point of it? What was the point of any of this? What was the point of them conducting all this and lying? I just never saw the point in it. I didn't know why they felt so compelled to destroy me. The story they were telling and trying to put over on people wasn't the truth.
It doesn't sound like in October 1992 that you're sorry that you did it.
I'm sorry about everything. Sorry about the whole thing. 2 people are dead that could have had wonderful lives, and I should have been 10 years down the road. 10 years is a long time. To an entirely new life. We all had so much potential and possibilities. Why was this so destructive of everyone?
The grim story that has come to an end at this lonely prison began with a joyous New York State wedding in the 60s when a stunning young Betty married Dan Broderick. They raised 4 children together. Betty helped put Dan through law school. And then, 17 years later, when Betty looked like this, a beautiful woman in her 20s caught Dan's eye. Dan left Betty and later married Linda Kolkina. But by this time, Dan Broderick was a $1 million a year attorney, and Betty was awarded a house with this ocean view near San Diego and a whopping $16,000 a month support payment. But she wasn't happy.
Anti-Betty Broderick people say she had $1 million house and $16,000 a month alimony. Why didn't she go live her new life? And a boyfriend, for that matter. Why didn't she go away and live her life and leave them alone?
Me leave them alone? I would have loved to have done that. And that would have been the plan, is to be left alone and have $1 million house and a boyfriend and a car and everything. But that's not the truth. The house was in his name. When I finally got it in late 1989 in my name, I didn't have enough monthly money to stay there. So the first thing I did was put it on the market. I couldn't stay there. And all the years of this, when he was telling people he bought me a house, it was a total lie. The house was in his name. And the money that he gave me every month to make those payments, because it was in his name, was really back in his pocket.
Betty says now that the bitter feud that ended in the murder of Dan and Linda wasn't about money, it was about love for her 4 children. Custody, she says, was what the battle was all about. But at trial, Betty's daughter Kim took the stand as
she's standing on business. She is not sorry. So I'm going to read this article, just a clip, from Oxygen, and it's titled, "When is Betty Broderick Getting Released from Prison?" So this was written June 11th, 2021. It's been 30 years since Betty Broderick was convicted of shooting her ex-husband and his younger new bride to death in their bedroom, but she won't be getting out of prison anytime soon. Betty was sentenced to 32 years to life in prison in 1991 for the slayings of ex-husband Dan Broderick, 44, a well-known San Diego attorney, and his wife Linda Kolkina Broderick, 28. Although the now 73-year-old has appeared before the parole board on 2 different occasions, the board has opted to deny her release and keep Betty, whose case received national attention and earned the support of fellow scorned wives behind bars. Betty won't be eligible for parole again until 2032, when she'll be 84 years old, KFMB reports. While Betty has never denied pulling the trigger, she's maintained that she carried out the double murder after suffering severe emotional and psychological abuse during an acrimonious divorce battle following 16 years of marriage. Now let's talk about Bernadine Harris from Waiting to Exhale, a fictional character but one that represents a reality many women live. The 1995 film based on Terry McMillan's novel follows 4 African-American women as they navigate love, identity, and self-worth. Bernadine, portrayed by Angela Bassett, was married to a successful businessman. She gave up her dream of starting her own company to stay home and raise their children, believing that one day her time would come. Instead, her husband blindsided her. He left her for his secretary, offering her no real explanation other than the fact that he had simply moved on. The pain Bernadine felt, it wasn't just about betrayal, it was about the years she could never get back, the time, the energy, and dreams she set aside, believing in a future that was never guaranteed. And while her story is fictional, her experience is very real for women who sacrifice too much in silence. So I have 2 clips that I want to view from this movie that I really feel her pain, like the devastation, the rage, because you can do everything for this man and it's not enough. And that's why there's such a big shift now where you hear the older women saying, don't hold a man down, because it doesn't always pay off. Now, both of these stories, even though this one is fictional and with Betty, now I'm looking at this from a different perspective because I've never invested into a man and it paid off and they leveled up and they get rich and they leave me, right? That's never happened to me. But I'm also like, well, they get alimony, they get alimony, they get a house. To me, it seems like they're taken care of. Now, they might have to downsize, but for me, I would take the money and I would just, because there's women that do more for less. There's women out here building with broke niggas and they get divorced and you walk away with nothing, or maybe a measly $200 in child support, so. But I'm also not thinking of it, I poured in all these years into this man. I had all these kids for this man. And now you want to go leave me for somebody younger. Like, I'm not coming from that perspective either. I'm just like, well, dang, I mean, people walk away from divorces with less, like, they're not destitute. But anyway, that was just my 2 cents on that. So this first clip is when Bernie comes in because she went to the bank and she slaps the hell out of the mistress. I'm like, yeah, you deserve that slap because you know what you did. But go after the man. Go after the man. It's not the woman's fault. Go after the man.
Bernadine, I'm in a meeting here. If you need something, I suggest...
Would you mind terribly if I had a few words with my husband?
Oh. What the hell are you doing?
I've been to the bank. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of your children.
Everybody out.
Yes, out.
Okay, you are coming to my office and start throwing some tantrum because you can't finish what you started.
What am I supposed to do for money?
I gave you the house, now sell it.
I hate you.
I'm really sorry to hear that, Bernadine. But I'm not playing games with you anymore.
Who do you think started this damn company, huh?
Let's not start that again, all right?
And now you think you can just take the money and run?
Business hasn't been good for years, but don't you worry about it. You'll get what's coming to you.
Hell, I'm not worried. You, on the other hand, should be.
Okay, look. Let's not let this thing get any uglier than it already has.
Is everything all right in here, Mr. Harris?
Fine. Now, I'm more than willing.
What, you gonna put me out, Jeff?
$300,000
put me
cash
out
today.
Your children aren't for sale.
One more thing before you go. I'm coming for my kids on Saturday.
Yeah? And if I hear you had them anywhere near that tramp bitch, you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life.
That's right, Bernie. He should have been worried. But if you read the sequel to this, man, I'm not gonna give the plot away, but if you read the sequel to Waiting to Exhale and see what happens with his relationship. But anyway, the second clip I'm gonna play, it's definitely a reminder that no matter how much love and effort you give to your partner, you can't give up on yourself in the process. And that's where a lot of Bernie's rage comes from in this next clip, because she sacrificed a lot for this man.
This motherfucker is psychotic. I bet you there's serial killers less anal.
Yeah, white woman's probably the only one who'll tolerate your smug ass. Yeah, I was your white woman for 11 years. Couldn't have started that damn company without me. Hell, I worked my ass off.
I mean, I got a master's degree in business, and there I was, his secretary, his office manager, and his computer.
No, Bernadine, you can't start the catering business this year. Why don't you wait a few years? years, huh? Yeah, don't start it right now. Wait 1, 2, 3 years. I need you to be the fucking background to my foreground. 732. 732. The number of times we made love. I remember when that bastard told me he was counting right after 51. I'll show you. Fuck me for not leaving your ass there. But the worst, also, fucking worst, making my kids go to a school with only 2 other black children because you don't want them to be improperly influenced. Well, guess what, John? You're the motherfucking improper influence. Get your shit, and get out.
Now, I think Bernie handled this very classy. All she did was burn up the man's car instead of pulling a left eye and burning down the whole house. Because I don't know, I might have burned down the whole house. I don't know how I don't know how I would feel in that situation. And she didn't kill anybody. I thought she handled the whole divorce. You know, she may have had some petty moments selling the man stuff for $1, but whatever. It's a drop in the bucket for him. He makes money. But this just reminds me of how unpredictable life is. Relationships change, and when you've given everything to someone else's vision without nurturing your own, you may find yourself starting from zero emotionally and financially. And that's why having a plan of your own is so important. A passion, a career path, something that belongs to you and only you. It's not selfish. I feel like it's responsible and it's empowering. And so when I look at me in my life, you know, I have 2 career paths that I could choose from, and I'm thankful. The one that I'm in now it's RCM, it's revenue cycle management. And I just created a guide, like just from all my notes and everything over the years, how I got started, how easy it is. And it's so beneficial to women who are leaving those relationships and who have small kids because there's remote opportunities. But in there, I just tell you basically the positions that I've worked in, what they are, what your responsibilities are. I put in a resume template and a cover letter. I paid $500 for an overhaul for mine, so I'm giving it to you guys for $5. Just because, what if I didn't have $500 to invest in myself that way? You know, I just always think of paying it forward to other women. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave my link to the ebook in the description. And I also have a second channel. It's called Some Things Rev Cycle. I haven't been posting over there in a few weeks because I'm trying to revamp this channel since I'm not working in communication right now. This is just fun for me. But my other stuff, that's what pays my bills. But I just thought I would share with you guys. I see a lot of women with small kids like, I need a job, I need a change, and I'm so tired of customer service. And honestly, this is a field that y'all need to look into. Please don't think that you have to have a medical degree, because you don't. My degree is not medical, but if you're able to get your foot in the door, I recommend it. And I think the easiest way to do that is through a temp agency. But enough on that. I just wanted to share that with you guys. So moving forward, these stories just remind me of how important it is as a woman to always have your own money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to date a provider. but you should always have your own money and never be left asked out. My grandmother used to tell me never let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. I think I said that correctly. And I didn't really understand it until I got older. And it makes so much sense. You can't tell these men everything, every nickel, penny, dime, because some of them do end up being leeches. You know, you can always start over, and you can protect and invest in your future now. So no matter what life throws at you, you're not left without options. Please continue to go to school, get your licensing, keep your license, your certifications. I love seeing girls sell bundles and lashes and lipsticks, and they have their boutiques online. I love to see that. So you guys just stay encouraged, and for any of y'all that have been through really bad marriages and bad relationships, just remember your life is not over. You can start over at any time. You're not damaged goods, okay? Life goes on. That man is gonna replace you so fast, so why do you have to sit and suffer? But I wish you all the best, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.